Hello, listeners. How are you all doing today? Welcome aboard this. Ian's got auto camera and focus.
God, it does my head in. I can't turn it off. It's a freaking nightmare.
It's so funny every time it goes on. Anyway, back to the point. No, I fucked up. I'm going to do it again.
Okay.
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 I just took my. okay, well, let's do it again. Are you not used to me by now? Honestly, and you knew
I
that.
am. That's why I'm just laughing.
You knew that was going to happen. Hold on, look, your head looks so big. Let's get mine on the same.
Thank you.
Just mine was down here.
Your head looks so big.
I don't know, like it's just
Except you.
Smile sweetly. We're about to start again.
Yes, boss.
Right, take 5. Hello, listeners. Welcome to another episode of the Naked Coach Collective podcast. Today, you have Ian and myself, and we are going to be talking about what a coaching session looks like. I know there may be some listeners out there who are thinking, "Oh, I'd really like to experience some coaching," but one, don't know how to go about getting it, and two, would like to know a little bit more about what an actual session would involve before committing in any way, even time. I'm not just talking about money here, I'm talking about time as well. So, Ian, we'll get started. First of all, when you think about the clients that you've had and got, that first point of contact, let's put in a bit of personal experience here. How did they make contact with you, or how did that first contact happen?
It's usually by word of mouth with my clients. Because like I say, I'm not big on social media, but so it was word of mouth or through any ads that I'd put out onto social media. And then people would essentially come in by whatever it was that I was offering. It was like a free guide or anything like that. And then they'd just book a call after reading through like the little ebook that I provided, or so I did like a training video for certain people as well. So they'd watch that and thought, oh, okay, that looks interesting, and then they book a call off the back of that. That's usually what it was. Or someone had said, so and so has recommended you.
Okay, so the people who've come that way, they were interested in coaching already.
Yes.
And so they thought they'd try a little bit of something that you've got on offer, and then from that come to ask you for coaching. So when they ask you for coaching, what do they do? Phone you, email you? How does it work? I'm just going really down to to the basics, so that anybody out there who's unsure can say, well, okay, yes, this is how we might want to do it.
Yes. When they'd download the ebook or watch the training that I had, essentially made it very easy for them to get in touch with me. So I left like a book a call now button on the web page, or I provided a link within the ebook that you could click through to, which was essentially just a calendar where you can book your time over a Zoom meeting to have like a strategy session is what I called it, to kind of, and the point of that was to get an idea of where they're at right now off the back of watching that training or reading that ebook, whatever it was, where they are right now and where they want to be, and what kind of quick actions they can take now to get the ball rolling.
Okay, so that's good. So they book a call. You say they book a call. So they click on a button that takes them directly to your diary and your availability.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, through to a calendar where they can select a date and time.
So there's a lot of that going on at the moment. I've seen, lots of people have got links that go straight through to their diary, book a call, maybe book a call with me. Is it a difficult process?
No, it's just one button click, and then you pick the time and date that suits you and type
then
in your name.
You'll get an email confirmation.
So an email confirmation will come through, and you'll also get a diary invite through whatever calendar you use, whether it's Google or Outlook, whatever it is. And you'll get a calendar invite, and on there is a link to the call, and it gives you the time and date of the call. And then what I want to do is make sure people are turning up prepared to the call.
Yeah.
So, because what I don't want is for them to be wasting their time.
No.
And I also don't want to waste my time.
Of course.
So I have questions that I send out to them off the back of booking a call. And that's basically just to make sure that they're not going to waste the time. So, are you right for this call? Are you right for coaching, whatever it is? So I have like a set of 10, 15 questions or something. Based off the answers of that, I'll either cancel the call if they're not a good fit, and I'll drop them an email and let them know and why, and then I'll make some kind of quick recommendations for them. But if they are a good fit, then we'll jump on the call.
Okay, brilliant. So do you feel like there's anything in that process that might cause a potential client to to worry or stress?
I don't think so. I mean, not really the kind of people I'm
You're going
obviously
for.
working with.
Yeah.
I suppose it could be different if it was a different type of person that I was working with. Depends on who they are, really. The kind of person I'm working with is someone who is obviously owns their own business, so are used to booking in calls and answering surveys and all that kind of stuff, for even just like their own marketing and that kind of thing for their business. So they're kind of used to the process. Whereas if it's someone who's not, I don't know, maybe, but I mean, it's very simple.
Mm.
Whether they may get put off by the questions that are up front might be something, but my questions wouldn't apply to everybody. It just literally applies to the people that I'm working with and talking to. So you just tailor the questions to match whoever it is that your audience is.
Yeah. I mean, I think the reason I'm asking that question, and you're absolutely right. Your audience wouldn't have a worry or wouldn't stress at all about booking a call on a booking service. I'm sort of thinking more about my clients who are not always that tech savvy, not that bothered really about, they're not generally used to booking an online meeting that way. So I know there for me it was new when I started the coaching and I set up my calendar and everything. It was a new process for me, and that's why I'm sort of thinking there might be some kind of fear of putting in all your information for somebody you don't know. So you're putting in your email address, aren't you? You're putting in your details, potentially even your phone number, and putting yourself forward for a meeting with someone that you don't know. And I know that some of my clients could be a bit put off by that. So I know you don't put your phone number on your marketing, but I do, because that's another way of making contact. Because I know that a lot of clients who might want to work with someone like me would prefer to pick up the phone and make a phone call or even a text message or something. It really does depend on who you are coming into your coaching call. But if you are someone who's never had a coaching conversation, who's potentially like, we were doing our analytics, weren't we, on Spotify the other day, and most of our listeners are over 45. Was it 45 or 50? I think it was about
45 to
45.
50 something,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah, and I
55
think
maybe.
I think a lot of people in that group may not be that happy to book through a Calendly or similar diary system. Anyway, so once you've made contact, you've phoned them, you've sent them a text message, you sent them an email, your coach, that is, your potential coach, that you've looked on their websites and you've looked on social media and you've had recommendations word of mouth, and you've got an appointment booked, you've got a session booked. It's likely to be a free session. Most coaches do offer some kind of free initial consultation. So what does that include? What does that involve?
So from my perspective, like I say, I want to understand where the client is currently at. So how do they currently picture their current circumstances? I want to know why they booked the call. So what is it that's brought them to the point now where they're looking for a coach? What's that pain that they're going through that's brought them to book the call to want to improve on that situation? And I want to know where they want to get to. So I kind of then have a blueprint of how I can potentially help them, whether I can or can't. If I can't, I'd probably cut the conversation a little short, but I would make recommendations as to what they can do. I would recommend other coaches if I thought other coaches would be of benefit for them. I'd say you actually probably want to speak to this person who's a much better fit than me. So I'd pass on the details if they would be willing to have that as well. But for me, it's all about understanding where they're currently at, why they put the call. So what is that pain that they're currently going through, which means they want to improve their life, and what does that improvement look like? Where do they want to be in so many months' time, whatever it is? And yeah, that's the reason. And then I want to give them some kind of clear action steps that they can take.
It's pretty similar. I think, a lot of the coaching sessions are very much like that, especially the first one. You get to know who that person is. This is why I think it's always really important to have a Zoom call rather than a phone call. And I know that a lot of coaches do work on the phone, but we see so much in terms of nonverbal
Mm.
information, that comes through via Zoom, via video call. So you're talking to someone and you're getting to know them. You're seeing and you're listening to things that their body is saying as well as what their words are. So they might be expressing a desire to you, but you can see that there's something else. So you probing. So that first session is about getting comfortable with each other. For me, that is about getting comfortable with each other, knowing that establishing that we can work together, understanding what it is, then what you said, understanding what it is that they want and what they want to achieve through the coaching with you and how they want to develop. How do you, I know we kind of maybe do this in a slightly different way, but how do you make sure that they are ready for taking action?
It depends on how the conversation goes, but just before I get there,
Mm.
2 points to pick up on from what you were saying just then. One thing is, yes, I want the conversation over Zoom because, like you say, the non-verbal cues. So, as an example, if you're thinking about something and you're looking up, you're a very visual person. If you're looking to the side like that, you're very, what's the
Aural,
auditory?
auditory.
Auditory. But if
Yeah.
you're looking down, you're very feelings, that kind of thing. So it's about I can then obviously get on the same wavelength as you, and I can change the way I talk to you to make sure that things hit home for you, rather than me say something that just doesn't land with you, and you're like, "Well, what are you talking about? I don't understand." So there's that element as well, and the non-verbal cues are massive. Did I say the two things then, or did I just say one?
You did say twos.
What was the other one? I forgot what the other one was.
And also, you know what, as well as the non-verbal cues that you're giving off when you're on Zoom with someone, you've got a rapport building because you actually,
That was it. Yeah, it was like, do we actually get on?
yeah,
Do we get on? Could I see myself working with you for like the next 3 months,
yeah.
6 months,
I mean,
whatever it is? And
from
also,
my
can you see yourself working with me? Because I'm
ex-
not right for everybody,
yeah,
just like everybody's not right for me.
yeah. And I mean, in my experience as well on that front is that where I've had a video conversation, a Zoom call with someone for the first time, to introduce them to my coaching and to find out what they want. It's usually, there's a much more chance of creating a bond that means that you can move forward together. The phone call is very difficult because I think when you're telling somebody deep insights about your life, you kind of want them to see you, the whole of you. And if I was having coaching myself, I always want to see the person I'm speaking to because what I say as a coachee has an impact on them. And you don't always hear that, but you will see it. You see? So it's a two-way process. It's not just us as coaches picking up on the clients, it's the other way around as well. And those little nuances are really important. It's, as far as I'm concerned, for the success of coaching.
Yes. Now, what was your original question? Because I said I'd come back to that, and I forgot what your original question was. You asked me a question, and then I went, before I answer that, I'll pick up 2 points, and then I forgot what your question was.
I got the memory of a goldfish.
Well, how are they ready to? How do I know they're ready to take action?
The commitment question.
Yeah, I know that when they essentially sign up.
Okay. See,
Or do you mean in a different way?
no, I mean in that way as well, but it might be different for you because you're dealing with, entrepreneurs, you're dealing with business people, they are, and it's in a business capacity, a lot, but, that's why I'm drawing comparisons with my own clients who are not in a and sometimes sometimes they might make a commitment to themselves first that I'm committed and I'm ready to do this. But it's not always that easy. In fact, it's rarely that easy. So I always go through quite a lot more in the sense of, trying to really make them understand that you can't show up to a session once a week and expect change without doing anything in between. I do spend a bit of time making sure that comes across. I think maybe perhaps you don't need to.
So how does that allow you to know that they're ready? How does telling them that allow you to know that
It's
they're
not.
ready to
It's a
take action?
discussion. It's never a telling. It's never a telling. So I might ask them. So maybe there'll be a time when you might need to take such and such an action. It will involve you changing the way you approach your study time, or you might have to make changes into how you fit in your leisure time or your whatever. I'll give them an example according to what they're coming to me for. So if they're looking for more time to have in their relationship with their partner, I'll say, well, you might have to alter your routine in the evening, that sort of thing. And how does that make you feel?
Yeah, so I go through that with them, and
Mm.
if they're ready, they'll sign up. If they're not, then they won't.
I love your clear cut. Black and white. Oh, man. All
So
right.
yeah, that's partly. I mean, some of them are ready
Mm.
and they don't realize it, and some of them are just definitely not.
Yeah.
And a lot of
Yeah.
people will make up a lot of excuses just to say no. It's like, just say no, it's fine. You can tell me no, it's okay. I'm not a sleazy car salesman person. It's like, just say no. If you don't want to go ahead, it's fine.
I don't think
Whereas
you even need to say no.
some people need a bit of a nudge
Mm.
because the reason they're initially saying no is because it's the same reason why they've called me. So they're in that situation for a reason, and they've jumped on that call
Mm.
for a reason.
Mm.
And then when we get to the point where they're ready to take a step forward, that fear then comes in. They're like, oh, I can't do that. Who am I to be able to do that? And that kind of thing. And so some people need a little coaching in that situation
Mm.
to help them realize that it is the best step forward for them. But that's not to say I'm saying get out your credit card and pay me now. Absolutely not. I wouldn't be. That's kind of why I work with the people I do, because the people I do can afford it and are not in a situation where that is even a question for them. The money side of it, because I know a lot of people, they'll hear how much a coaching costs. I'm like, oh, the instant fear would be can't afford that
Okay.
instantly.
Was
That
another
barely comes up for me anymore, purely because of who
of
I'm
who you
working
work
with,
with.
because money's not really an issue for them.
No, because they're looking for a different kind of gain, right? So
Yeah,
the money part is done. But that is a big thing, right? The money fear. So we're going back a step two. You're looking at your client. A lot of coaches don't advertise their prices. So they need to get you on a call. And I mean, I do have my prices advertised in certain places and some places I don't. Depends on what where you're looking. It's a funny thing because you're scared of what they're going to say without really understanding that actually you're only losing if you don't ask. Does that make sense? So they might say ten
is
thousand.
that the is that the person who's got in touch with the coach, or is that the coach? Are
Yeah.
you
So
saying
as a
there?
client, as a potential client, you might feel. I mean, I'm not thinking about your potential clients. I'm thinking about the average person that I work with. They would quite easily be worried about how much it's going to cost. Very, very likely. But I think for that, what I'm saying is, there's no harm in asking. No coach worth their salt is going to not want to have an initial conversation with you, because they don't want to have a conversation with you just because they think, oh, you might be a potential client. Because I do think that as coaches, it's a mindset thing that whoever we speak to, we just want to help in some way, whether they sign up with
Yeah,
us or
exactly.
not. So you have nothing to lose by having a Zoom call with a potential coach that you like the sound of, that you've heard of, word of mouth or social media or wherever you've heard of them. So I would definitely say that don't let fear of how much it's going to cost impact you into not taking the action. And I know all the coaches that I know definitely start from a place of they really want to help people. So you'll definitely get something out of that first call. Even if it turns out to be too expensive, I think you might be surprised.
Yeah, exactly. And because you want to help people, you work things out, right? It's not a case of pay it all now.
Yeah.
Might be able to work out a payment plan, whatever it is. Things can be worked out. If that person really needs help and they want to take that first step and take that help,
Mm.
then things can be worked out. It's not an issue.
That's
I mean, obviously, I say it's not an issue. I'm generalizing there. There are obviously people in certain situations that absolutely cannot afford it, and then you can just offer them what you can offer them, right? You can just help them there and then, and maybe say, let's set up another call in another month or something, and I'll try and help you then as well. But generally, it won't be an issue because you can work out payment plans, etc. And also, I mean, if your car was to like properly break down, you'd find the money for it. You'd find the money to fix it because you need your car, right? So there's that as well. So people can find the money. It's just that fear telling them too dear, too expensive, not worth it, whatever it is.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's that value. It's the value you put on it. So as soon as you start working with a coach and someone who's the right fit for you, you'll start to see how your life is changing. Right? If you don't, pretty soon after you start working with somebody, if you don't start seeing how your life is changing, and it could be real small changes, initially, right? Then it is you should. I think you should be making positive improvements to your life very, very quickly when you're working with a coach. So then the value that you place on coaching goes up. So, your car, the value of your car as an indispensable thing in your life, so say for my lifestyle where I'm traveling between Hampshire and Essex a lot because I haven't really got any other choice right now. I mean, a car is a vital aspect of my life right now. So the coaching, as soon as you start seeing how things improve, whatever it is you're looking to gain in your life and how that is starting to come to you, the value that you place on the coaching will go up. Anyway, the vitalness. What's the word, Ian?
Importance?
Importance. Yeah, there's a better word anyway.
There is. We're
It's
not
just
clever
feeling
enough for
as
that, though.
appropriate. It'll go up. So you're doing well. Right, I'm going to talk about goal setting now. Do you establish goals in session number 1?
So are we on the same call, or are we now as if?
No, we're just going to stick with the same call in this podcast. I know that there's a lot of people out there who are concerned about that first meeting. What will it include? How am I going to get through it? What do I need to know? How much prep do I need to make? And we've talked about prep that once they make a booking on your diary, you'll send them information. I send them information. That sort of thing that works, right? So they know that they're going to come prepped with some stuff. Then you're going to get into the session. You're going to get to know each other, have a conversation, talk about why they're there. In your first session, in your type of coaching, do you establish any goals straight away?
Goals specifically,
Mm-hmm.
what I do is, so there's been times, I'd say 80% of the time, I'm getting a call with someone and I ask them, so what do you want them? And I can't answer that question. It's so difficult for them to answer that question because it's not something they've ever really even been asked or thought about, because a lot of the time they're constantly thinking about other people and what they can do for other people and how they can help other people. So there's usually a bit of silence then. It takes a while for them to think of something. But in terms of when they start to get the ball rolling in answering the question, I take it into, okay, what would the life you love to live look like? And I want them to get to envision that life. And then I'll take it through, like, the 5 senses. So what sounds are they playing around you? How is it making you feel? All that kind of stuff. I want them to, at least off the back of this session, I want them to at least understand or start with an idea of what they want. If they take anything away from that session, if they didn't sign up with me as a client, if they take one thing away, for me, the most important thing to take away is the fact of understanding what it is that you actually want. Because there's so many people that just have no clue whatsoever. And so I get them to envision what that life they would love to live looks like, feels like in a couple of years' time.
Yeah. Again, a little bit of a difference there with mine. I do touch on where they want to start seeing improvements in their life. So rather than an actual real goal, the first session talks about a bit more of the overall picture, and then we go away and like maybe the first first week's homework would be to think about honing in specifically on certain aspects of what the overall improvement they want to make is. And then, because I'm all for small incremental changes that create, that work cumulatively to make a bigger change. So the actual goal setting, and I do goal setting that is quite specific, but it tends to go into session 2 a lot of the time, and it's just open for thought. Because like you say, people come in and say to them, well, why, what do you want, and why do you want it? And actually that is something that can take a lot of thought. It can take a lot of getting to the right thing, because initially you might say, oh, I want house by the sea, or a new car, or whatever. But then when you really come down to it and you ask them why, it's different. So that takes more than a session often. Anything else you want to add on that?
Yeah, I think with you saying first session and then they get some homework for the second session, I was talking about before they've even become a client.
Yeah, I mean,
So that first strategy session, I call it. So
yeah,
before the first, technically before the first proper coaching session, the
yeah,
strategy session, that's what I take them through. And then when we get into the proper coaching, as you know,
mm,
you've been through the
mm,
program that I take clients through,
mm,
is a couple of weeks worth of just figuring out what it is that you want.
yeah, yeah. I
It takes
kind of,
time.
it does take time. I like to, even in the first sessions, and I know you do this as well, as a thought process, is that I like to think of, even in the first session, that this is already a client, and it doesn't always work out, and that's absolutely fine. But I treat them, I treat everyone like even the first session is free. I treat them like a paying client, and I want them to achieve something. So even if I give them homework and they don't come back, at least they've got something to work on.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why I was saying even if they don't become a client,
Mm,
the very least I want them to take away from that conversation is starting to understand what it is that they want.
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
everything will follow on from there. Even if they don't sign up with me as a client, they'll start to figure things out from there.
Yeah, I think coaching has got a real sort of momentum to it as well. As soon as you start, even putting yourself through thinking about deeper reasons why you want something, and deeper reasons why you do something and behave in certain ways, that is like, it's like the ball rolling down the hill collecting all the moss. It does start to really pick up momentum, and you soon start looking at other aspects of your life, and thinking, well, how would a coaching question help me here? How would that? And if they get that just from one session, then that's good too. That's absolutely good. That's progress. And they may not be at the right time. It may not be the right time for them, and they realize that during your session, and then think, okay, well, that's really great. I've got something to go on, and then come back in 6 months or whenever. And that's happened to me as well. You think they understood that they went away thinking, okay, I'm not quite ready, and then come back when they are, which
Yeah,
is nice.
exactly.
Yeah, which is really nice. My last thing I was sort of thinking of, that will generally be included, will be included in a session, the first initial session, is just sort of setting up the parameters of how you work together. So what does, most coaches do have tiered coaching. So they may have a more premium coaching package, which includes voicemails on WhatsApp and text messages, and responses within a certain time. Or you might just want to have more of a basic package, which just includes a weekly or a fortnightly session, and some kind of email contact in between. I think that's important to get in there and sort it out in that first session.
Yeah, absolutely. So, as an example, mine is I have 3 tiers. So, I've essentially got group coaching, one-on-one, the 3 month program, and then I've got like a concierge VIP type one, which is like for 12 months. And also, depending on how the conversation's gone, I may just recommend them to go with like group coaching, because it may be someone who is very community based and needs people around them as a support group type thing. So I'd recommend the group coaching for them. So yeah, I'd set out the stall as to what the offer is that I recommend for them. To be honest, I would usually do that and not talk about the others. If they ask me about others, then I would, but I'd probably
Mm,
push them down the route that is going to be the best fit for them. rather than just giving them too many options of a couple of things that might not even be right for them.
Yeah, there's absolutely no point talking about a real VIP package with somebody who just wants to do a group. Or yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely. Yeah, understood. Yeah.
And there's also just little things as well, like calls will be on this day at this time. If you don't turn up on time, then you've lost that week. It's about setting boundaries, making
Mm.
sure that they're respecting not only me but themselves as well. They're investing a lot of money. They need to respect themselves to be able to show up. So yeah, it's about setting just boundaries and all that kind of thing, and how the relationship's going to work and all that good stuff, really.
And that will come to you after that first initial session in a contract. So you
Yes,
will then be required usually to look at a contract. It's pretty basic and it outlines the things of, notice on cancellations and that sort of thing. Because obviously, if you're cancelling, you're you're depriving that coach of an opportunity to book somebody else in that time. So it's
exactly.
important that you understand that as a as a business, coaches are in the business of helping people, but they also need to provide for their life, so that is important. The contract will also ask you information like your contact details, your address, your full name, that sort of thing. So expect to see that sort of information on a contract. So some coaches record the Zoom session, some don't. I record if the client wants me to, and I don't if they don't want me to. So it is down to them, and I make recordings available to the client if they want them. Especially, because a lot of my work is about organizing your life and putting things in a structured way. So it's quite useful to go back and watch and say, oh, right, okay, so I've done that bit now, I can go on to do that bit, can go on to do that bit. And it saves taking notes all the way through. What do you think?
Yeah, I automatically record, but I let them know it's recording. If you don't want it recording, I'll stop it. I've never once had anyone tell me, please don't record the call, because it's for their benefit. They'll get the recording after
Mm.
after the sessions finish. So
Yeah, no, I'm almost the same, but I know that sometimes there might be um, we might be talking about a delicate issue, which I feel that they will be less able, less free in discussing with me if they know it's being recorded. Even though I always maintain this is a very private recording between me and them, and that's it. But there have been times when I've sort of said, look, I don't think we'll record this session because I think you need to just express yourself, and then we can always do a potted version and make the notes of what happened afterwards. May not be so relevant in what you do, but when I talk about personal things, especially if there are maybe some emotional things to discuss.
and there's emotional things that I talk about, that my clients talk about as well. It's not that we don't
Mm,
discuss hard topics or anything like that. It's just I say it's recording, and do you want me to
mm,
press stop on the record? And if they do, they do.
yeah, that's good. That's good. It's just I think I don't know. It's a
So we're
very
both
good
giving we're both giving them the option to
both
not
we both
record.
have the
We're
option.
just doing it in different ways.
Absolutely, absolutely. Right now, anything else that you think we haven't covered in what a new coaching client might look to expect to experience in the first call?
I think the final thing would be just the gap between when you have that strategy session and then the proper coaching starting. When I say proper coaching, I mean you're onboarded as a client.
Mm,
I don't, because in that first call you're getting proper coaching as well. It's just, I mean, as a client. So there's a gap, and depending on what kind of program you're going for, whether it's a one-on-one, that can be just a week. Whereas if it's a group coaching scenario, there may be like a couple of spots that still need to be filled. So it could be like a 2 week gap between that strategy session and then the group coaching beginning.
yeah. Okay. And so, what would you like to say to Anybody who's listening or has heard any of your podcasts thinks, okay, Ian sounds like the kind of person I want to work with. What, lay down for them? What do they do?
So I've got a link to a quiz. So this is a quiz, which is kind of what I was talking about earlier. And when people book to call, they fill in like some questions. I'm actually doing it up front now to see whether they even want, and it essentially lets you know whether you even want to book a call. So rather than book a call and then get the questions, you're essentially getting the questions first. And so it's like a quiz, really. And it's about understanding whether how well you're living your life on purpose, how on purpose are you, essentially, or how not on purpose you're living your life. So that's a quiz, and then it'll give you, at the end of that quiz, you'll get like a tailored scoring with actionable steps that you can take there and then as well. And then it'll give you the option at the bottom to book a call in off the back of that. And you'll also get a PDF version with more detail in it of the results from that quiz, with even more actions that you can take. So on the screen, on your screen, when you've taken the quiz, you'll get all your scores for each individual area that you scored in, with some actions that you can take. But then you'll get the PDF version, which is a lot more. And then if you want to book a call after that. I'll
So
put the link in the
I was
show
going,
notes because I can't remember
where's
the
it?
link off the top of my head.
Okay, in show notes. Okay, so is that on? So you're just going to put the link directly to that quiz?
Direct to that quiz.
Okay, all right. For me, if you want to have a session with me, my link is below in all of the links. I'm also on my website. You can book my call. You can call me. My number's on there, and it's darshanaqureshi.com. And always happy to have a chat. And yeah, I can send you off feeling better in some way or other. I don't know if that sounds right, but it is right. Yes, this is I do really think that in coming years everyone's got to have a coach. It's like the Americans, everyone's got a therapist. I think there's just so much that you can enhance your life through
Yeah, I was talking
speaking
about
to
this with someone I
somebody.
was interviewing the other day.
Yeah.
It's for my other podcast, by the way,
Which you're not allowed to plug on here yet.
which I'm not allowed to go with. But we were talking about it, and it just opens your eyes up so much to things that you just weren't aware of, that have been holding you back. That you're like, oh my god, that's why I've not done that. It's mind blowing. It really is. And this is coming from someone who thought it was just some hippie tree hugging nonsense.
You like that
That's what I
analogy,
thought
don't you?
coaching was when I
Yeah.
heard of it.
Yes. I don't know. Yeah. Everyone, everyone that I meet and encounter in my life, friends, family, new people, anybody, I just know that by asking them certain questions, they can start to see things in a different way, and life can get better.
And
Even when you're not, even if you don't feel you're out of it to start, you don't have to be. Coaching is not about coming at something from when you're feeling completely low and finished. You might be in a really great place, and just imagine if you're in a great place and how you can feel better, even better.
yeah, how you can even improve even more. And let's face it, all top business leaders, even presidents and prime ministers, have all had coaches for a
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like pretty much every professional athlete on the planet.
Oh my goodness, the athletes, yeah. I've heard some great stories about athletes and how coaches have, not obviously not sport coaches, but coaching like us can help them with their mindset, and their approach to their game is phenomenal.
Exactly.
But anyway, I hope you've found this conversation interesting, and please do look on the notes below if you are interested in making contact with any one of us, and enjoy the rest of your day. So until next time, be there
Be there
and be
and
naked.
be naked.